In China, where the coronavirus outbreak started, the number of deaths has now passed the 1,000 mark. The World Health Organization says the disease will now be officially called COVID-19 and warned it could be 18 months before the first vaccine becomes available. The British businessman, who is thought to have infected 11 people with coronavirus, says he has fully recovered. Steve Walsh, who's from Hove in East Sussex, remains in isolation in hospital. Our correspondent Catherine Burns reports now from Brighton.
Steve Walsh is still in hospital. He says it's just a precaution now. But Brighton is dealing with the after effects of his infection, with 2 GP surgeries being closed to patients. Today, Mr. Walsh has been named and has explained that he did everything by the book. He says, "I was advised to attend an isolated room at hospital, despite showing no symptoms, and subsequently self-isolated at home as instructed. When the diagnosis was confirmed, I was sent to an isolation unit in hospital, where I remain, and as a precaution, my family was also asked to isolate themselves." But in the roughly 2 weeks between being infected and diagnosed, it was life as normal, including a trip to the pub. It's still open. 5 staff have gone into isolation, but the pub says it's worked with Public Health England and that there's a minimal ongoing risk of infection. The disease now has an official name, COVID-19. The government rates the risk level for the public as moderate, but sounded this warning.
The situation will get worse before it gets better. We will be guided by the science. Be in no doubt, we will do everything that is effective to tackle this virus and keep people safe.
Mr. Walsh picked up the coronavirus at a conference in Singapore. On his way back to the UK, he stopped off for several days at a ski chalet in France, where he passed the virus on to 11 other people. 5 of those infected remain in France, and 1 man returned to Mallorca. Mr. Walsh and the other 5 British people came back to the UK. 2 of them are GPs, and 2 surgeries have been temporarily closed. Mr. Walsh's neighbours are baffled by all the attention.
His wife's told me on the phone that really he's not that ill. She thinks it's basically a load of rubbish, and that, it's no worse than flu, probably not as bad.
But health experts are taking this seriously. This GP surgery's been closed for 2 days now for what they're calling extensive cleaning. Down the road, another surgery's been closed too. We know that one of the infected GPs, Katrina Greenwood, used to work here. It's just 5 days now since Steve Walsh was officially diagnosed, and he says he's well recovered. That is generally true for this virus. Most people tend to only get mild symptoms. Catherine Burns, BBC News in Brighton.
Let's go live to Geneva tonight, talk to our global health correspondent, Tulip Nzumda, who's at the World Health Organization headquarters. What have they been saying today, Tulip?
Well, around 400 of the world's top scientists have been gathering here, trying to come up with a global plan of action to find out as much as they can about COVID-19. Almost 2 months into this outbreak, there is still so much scientists don't know about it, like where did it originally come from and how long is it infectious in people? Without these answers, it's going to become increasingly difficult to contain this outbreak, mainly to China. And remember, 99% of all global cases are still in China. Now, the World Health Organization says the biggest concern continues to be what will happen if cases start popping up in poorer countries with weaker health systems. It says that could cause global havoc, but it says that is not happening right now. There is a window of opportunity still to contain this outbreak.
Tulip, many thanks again for the latest then.